All right, we're back with another episode of Show Me the Source podcast. We're your hosts, Tim Harvey and Ryan Darani. We've got an interesting topic to discuss today, Ryan. We're talking about Sam Altman's announcement and testing ads in the US on ChatGPT.
Yeah, a complete 180 to his original stance, which is it would be his last resort to introduce ads. And so I want to dive into like the announcement itself and just kind of run through some of the key points we think are going to be interesting for agents and what we think might be useful for you to take note of in terms of what to do with it. And then deep dive into maybe the benefits of being kind of like an early adopter to this. Because I think there's probably one of the biggest opportunities potentially in the last decade with this, because we haven't seen much new ad tech come out in a long time. And this is going to be the first of its kind. So I think the opportunity is going to be huge.
I think it's also helpful to talk about why he had this complete 180. What is it? 800 million weekly users, 80% to, I've even heard 95% of those users are on a free version. So even though in 2025, what do we have here? Made $20 billion. So OpenAI made $20 billion in 2025, and they're projected to lose $14 billion in 2026. So even though they're making a decent amount of revenue, it's not there's not enough paid user base in order to make the company profitable. They're going to run out of cash reserves by 2027. So that 180 makes sense from a business perspective. Hey, we need revenue. So what levers can we pull? Paid advertising.
100%. And I think there's only a small section of people that actually care that ads are coming in. Everybody that we see are, they, like me included, they've gone back on their word. It's going to ruin the experience, but the 700 million plus free users probably aren't going to care that much. So in the grand scheme of things, it might look bad on Sam Altman's part, but in general, most users probably not going to care. Just like when Google introduced ads, just like when Meta did it as well. We all just adopted, and I think that's what's going to happen here, to be honest.
Yeah. We all knew it was coming.
Yeah, it is inevitable. A business that size, the way AI is progressing, how quickly it is, inevitable.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just pull up the announcement because it came out last Friday, so not too long ago.
Yeah, and there's been 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's still fresh, but there has been some recent changes as of today. And so I want to cover very quickly both points because everything we say right now is definitely subject to change. Like ads haven't really fully started rolling out in the US. They're beta testing right now. They're trying to get like pools of advertisers to come and use the platform. And so everything right now is pure, this is what we predict might happen. We're normally pretty hot on the money, so I'm going to stand by a lot of what we say. But of course, everything is subject to change, right?
We got a great crystal ball. Very rarely are we wrong, Ryan.
It's because of the British brains. It's not. Yes. It's not the American brains.
Yeah, it's all you. It's all you. You don't need me.
I need you. Of course, I need you, brother. How else are we going to do? Show me the source.
You could replace me with an AI avatar.
Dude, like the AI version of you, that's probably going to be the thumbnail of this video. It's probably slightly better looking, so I wouldn't even mind that.
That's going to be hard. I don't know if I believe that. We'll see what it looks like.
Yeah. And so this is the announcement. They came out, I believe, so Jan 16th. It is 22nd of Jan today, less than a week old. And the big call out points that I want to kind of just grab out of this announcement is basically their principles of advertising, what it means, because keep in mind, this has been live since 2022, ChatGPT, and it has essentially 4 years worth of people's chat history, what they do, what they like, what they don't like, where they want to go to. It's probably the biggest data set of personal information that any advertising platform is potentially going to be able to access. Like Meta has stuff, so does Google. Google has everything. But everybody has treated AI as more of a companion than anything else, so it's more trusted. And so the data is probably going to be more robust when advertisers try to buy it. The good thing is, like we've said, this is only going out to the free user plan. So the 700 million people that already have the free user plan, ads are now going to start appearing. But ChatGPT have also introduced a cheaper plan called Go, which is now going to be $8 a month. So cheaper limits, or sorry, less, you can't use it as much, but you're going to see ads, and it's $8. So one way to start clawing back revenue.
Yeah.
And then if I just show you this as well, like this was interesting to see. Ads won't influence the answers ChatGPT gives you. I want to see how long that stays true.
Yeah.
I want it. The partnerships with Spotify, Zillow, Homes.com. Like there's a bunch of partnerships that we know are already influencing the results, right?
Yeah. And Sam has also said that it's not going to be about the bidding strategy, meaning if I pay more, if I'm a real estate agent, I'm competing with a Realtor.com or Redfin. They have a much larger budget than any real estate agent or team does. Can they outbid an agent? Right. According to Sam Altman, at least for today, it won't be about the bidding strategy so much as it is about the answer being relevant to what's being asked.
And it's, and we can like I really want to dive into this too, but everything everybody's asking an AI assistant as of today is purely conversational. We use ChatGPT to avoid having to search for things 15 times. We use it to search for things once and trust the fact that ChatGPT or whichever platform is going to go away and get us the best result as opposed to us having to go and find it. And so that conversational shift where we talk about like conversation privacy, again, how true this is going to be, I'm not entirely sure. I've seen Sam say and people from OpenAI say you can kind of opt out from the platform using your previous chats to kind of guide advertisers. They are historically pretty bad. Every single major tech firm has been pretty bad at some kind of level of scandal. So I don't know how accurate this is going to be. But this is interesting. This is what it's going to look like. And so it's not your typical above the organic results that we see in Google, where you have like sponsored results, then you have the organic listing. This is very much before you ask another question, after we've given you your answers, this is where the ad is now going to appear.
So below the fold, the bottom of the answers.
Below the fold, bottom of the answer. The thing that it seems to be right now is it doesn't seem to be showing like a multitude of advertisers. It seems to be picking one. So when you think about that in the context of real estate, if somebody says, who's the best real estate agent in up to Massachusetts, rather than there potentially being 4 or 8, depending on how you look at it, there might now only be one. And if it's not based on bidding, it's going to be based on something else, probably to do with personalization, so how often you've interacted with agents nearby, and also the level of awareness people have of that agent. So I do think there's going to be an influencing factor here of organic that drives into paid. Just like paid has an influence on organic, I think we might see a nice inverse of that.
Meaning agents today who are in the answers organically because they're doing the right things, or Fly Dragon's helping them, be inside the answers. What you're saying is that let's say I have 2 agents. They're both advertising on ChatGPT. One of them is AI invisible. The other's already in the answers organically. Are you saying that AI or ChatGPT is likely to surface or serve the ad for the agent who's already in the answers?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about that, right? Because if it's a brand new platform, what data points are they going to use? If it's not purely budget play, if they're not just saying, throw more money at this and you can be number one.
Yeah.
If that is the case, what are the data points they're going to leverage?
Yeah.
It's going to be the relevancy of the search, how often you might have seen that brand before in the past, whether or not it's currently trusted as a brand, reviews, different platforms they appear on. If this is open to exploitation, like me trying to bid on being the best agent in up to mass, this tech immediately becomes redundant. The benefit of what they're trying to do right now is the fact that it is so contextual, it's so relevant, it's so useful. And so the only data points in my mind, other than obviously the advertising data they have access to, is the fact the brands have to be currently pretty active organically.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting one, because I think with Google PPC as an example, pay to play model, you can outbid a competitor. You could be in the first placement, right? Albeit you're in the paid results above the organic results, above the map pack, and you don't have to be the most seasoned agent, the one with the most number of transactions. So if somebody's asking, I don't know, homes for sale in Upton, Massachusetts, I could be first. I cut the line with a Google PPC ad. Whereas with what we're hearing with ChatGPT, that's not the case. So if I'm an agent who is less seasoned, is it worth me to even run ads? I know this is all conjecture at this point, Ryan, but is it worth running ads, or is this a call to action saying fix the house now, get the house in order now? If you're not in the right directories, you don't have enough reviews, your website doesn't have that topical relevance, you don't have the content, do this now, because the bells are ringing saying this is coming. If you want to take advantage of it and you want it to work, you've got to do certain things right now.
I think that is exactly what we're saying. The moats don't create themselves. So the agents that have tons of reviews, probably, an absolute killer in the market, tons of production, they're going to be hard to beat in the current platforms that they're beating you on, hands down. But when a new platform opens up and you identify that before anybody else, that, the top producing agent in your area doesn't yet see that, and you go and tidy up your profiles, you get more profiles than they have, you go and get reviews, you go and get different content strategies deployed on different platforms, your socials, your own website, etc. Very quickly you start to create a gap between the person who is currently dominating your market and probably absorbing all of the leads, and you, who has identified a platform that they haven't yet, and it might be 6 months away, it might be shorter than that. But if you're able to create a gap and they don't pay attention because they're already crushing it, like a lot of people do, they just kind of rely on what's currently working for them, then I believe this is what starts to provide a very healthy opportunity in the market.
You know what I'm really interested to see is what can we advertise in real estate specifically? Because I think a lot of consumers are thinking about products. If I were to go to ChatGPT and say, okay, I've got super thick hair, it's hard to maintain. I use Suavecito pomade. I've been using it for like 15 years, and I'm saying, hey, what is the best pomade for me based on this hair type? And then in the future, ChatGPT will surface these ads. For real estate, what do we have to market? We've got homes and we've got agents. So I'd be interested to see if they have restrictions on that. If somebody's asking questions like, what are the pros and cons of living in Upton, Massachusetts, or reasons to move to Upton, Massachusetts? What are the best neighborhoods in? It'd be interesting to see, can we advertise homes in those neighborhoods? If we have that listing, you want to advertise that home there, or will it be the agent themselves? If can we, and I'm going to go on a limb here, Ryan, say we will, Fly Dragon will be the first company in the real estate industry to offer ads, AI ads with ChatGPT. We've been bullish on this all year, all 2025. We knew it was coming eventually, so we will be the first. But we're blind to what we're able to do. So I'd be interested to see, can we promote the agent, the person themselves, kind of like a local service ad. So if somebody's asking a question where we think that it would be helpful to the consumer if they ask reasons to move to Phoenix, boom, there's a real estate agent from Phoenix that we have in the answers saying you should talk to Joe Janis.
Yeah, I think the groundwork that we're doing right now, I think the way that these guys are going to, and this is again purely speculative, but I believe this is how it's going to work best for ChatGPT, because they're kind of standing by the fact that they don't want to show you anything that isn't relevant to you and isn't helpful. And so if somebody has interacted with, the best neighborhoods in Central Phoenix from Joe Janis, and then they figure out, what's the cost of living, and Joe Janis is there again, when they get to a point where they're like, okay, great, I want to work with an agent in the area who specializes in, mid-century homes or whatever in this price range. Who can you recommend to me? At that point, it becomes a commercial search. And so that's where the ad platform is probably going to then kick in and take all of that previous chat history into a context. Even if you don't want to use your previous memory, the context of that conversation would be enough to show to ChatGPT, Joe Janis has been there 5 times out of the last 8 searches. So the person who might be most relevant now, if they're bidding, of course, is Joe. And the only thing that might be a problem here, and it's just come to my brain, is if you're not using the platform to generate ads, but you've just deployed a content strategy organically to serve all of that intent, and then somebody else bids, you're basically then saying, well, I can't give ChatGPT the first best, so I'm going to give them the second best. And whoever that agent is second best might just be the agent who is bidding or is aware that ChatGPT has ads. So it's like that closed ecosystem. Do you want to be the first person that they recommend, or do you want to do all of the hard work and then not be recommended?
Yeah. What would be interesting to see also is we see the mock-ups, right? Okay, this is where the ad is likely to be, which could always change. They're testing it right now. We have no idea when they're going to roll it out, what they're going to change based on the results of the beta testing. But it'd be interesting to see if it's more than just a promotional ad, meaning similar to Google, like having a product. If it's actually saying, based on your situation, working with this agent makes sense because X, Y, Z. Yeah. Like that it feels advisory, right? Versus transactional. If I go to Google, boom, like there's just some talking heads there. If we go to ChatGPT in the future and it's giving context to why it's recommending this agent, like that could be incredibly powerful in terms of conversion rates. Yeah. Right? It is a referral. And I've been saying that to agents of late. And the question comes up, what are the conversion rates like? Well, it's damn strong. Why is that? Because people are having conversations with AI and it feels like it's the new friends and family referral. So when it says, based on your situation, working with this agent makes sense because of X, Y, Z, they pick up the phone and call. Google PPC, we always hear this, Ryan, 1% to 3% conversion rates. And I think that's incredibly high. My experience, I've done this with hundreds of agents over the last 5 to 10 years. Few agents are converting 3% of the Google PPC leads that they're generating. I beg, and we see it already today, when that phone rings, the conversion rate is north of 50%. It's much higher than that. Like they're ready to move or they're ready to list with you. So I think we'll see conversion rates we've never seen, even in the heyday of Google PPC ads or the heyday of Facebook ads, back when it was a $1 cost per lead. I think right out the gate, the conversion rates are going to be incredibly high.
Yeah, I think now the conversion rates from organic to somebody's website to fill in a form or make a call or whatever, the conversion rates are like 50% plus, 40% plus, which is just 10x what we predict Google says it does. And it might be, there's probably less of them, but the intent is so high that I would rather spend $100 and get 3 incredibly ready to go prospects than $100 and I get 30 and I have to call them and they ghost me and they don't text back and they're just kicking tires and not ready to sell their home for another 6 months or whatever it might be. Like you want to cut that sales cycle down as much as you possibly can. And you want to pre-qualify as many people as you can before you get on the phone to them. And we had a conversation with Katelyn Warren from Gatlinburg last week or earlier this week. It's been a crazy week.
Was that this
talking
week?
About what? I think it was this
right.
week. I think it was this week. Like you've got kids, so you've got an excuse. I don't know what my excuse is.
Days bleed together. I think it was last Thursday. I think it was a week ago today.
I'll blame the dark British winter for that one.
I'm getting 18 inches of snow. I don't want to hear about your winter. Yeah, it was last Thursday.
I would rather have snow than continuous rain. Yeah. Come on. You know for a fact that's right.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
Come on. But Katelyn was saying the conversation she's having with buyers and sellers now is really different. As in, they're not interviewing her anymore. They're not like, why should we choose you? What would make you the best agent for us? the conversations they're having, or at least she's having with some of the people that are kind of working with her, is we interviewed a bunch of other agents before we spoke to you, and we didn't tell you that. And the reason why we chose you is because you lent heavily into being able to provide value to us before we even reached out to you. And she did that through content strategy, and she did that by being very present in AI search. And so we're already seeing that mechanism change, whereby people aren't chasing the leads. The leads have made the decision themselves to say, best agent for me to work with. They've given me tons of information. And it just makes sense for me to reach out to that person.
Yeah, she's not the only one. Far from it. The
No.
the feedback we get, and there's a couple of random examples that come to mind. I want to say it was Ashley Graham, who had a buyer find one of her blogs, $1 million buyer out of state, call her and say, "I'm coming down in a couple of weeks. I want to see some properties. I want to use you." Like, that is incredibly powerful when somebody, especially with agents who have been so accustomed to the paid ads having a place in its business, whether it's Zillow, Google PPC, something else. There is still that level of, you have to convert that lead, right? It is just the introduction to the relationship. When somebody fills out a form and you have to reach out, you're chasing leads. So this is where, the percentages don't make sense, the conversion rates for, say, a Google PPC lead. But if somebody calls you and says, "I'm flying in," D. Linnell happened with him as well. Out-of-state buyer wants to come in to Whistler, BC. It is incredibly powerful when you don't have to sell yourself. Their mind is made up. They've already done all their homework. And another thing to mention as well is when maybe they didn't find you from ChatGPT or Gemini or wherever, but after they've, maybe somebody referred them or whatever the case, maybe you had a listing appointment with this agent. What are they going to do after that? They're going to ask AI. They're going to ask Google, "Tell me everything you know about this agent. What's out there?" Because if you're AI invisible, there's not going to be much it's looking at. They can find Zillow, it can find Fast Expert. Maybe you've got a Yelp profile. But if you get nothing else out there on your website or third-party mentions, it's going to be, lackluster. If you've got this robust AI strategy, it's basically going to come to the conclusion, 100% you should list with this agent for all of these reasons. And so it just makes conversion much easier.
What a nice place to be. Like,
It's not having to chase leads.
Incredibly nice to be. Yeah.
Agents have been chasing leads for a decade. It's a shitty place to be.
And it's outdated as hell. The thing is, everything that agents have been led to believe, like you said, there is a place for outreach. There is a place for door knocking. There is a place for paid ads, of course. The thing with those channels, they are effectively, if you don't put the money in, or you don't go and knock on the doors, or you don't get told no 1,000 times, you're never going to get the business. And they're short term, because you might spend $1,000 and get enough leads to cover you through for the next 3 months, but then you got to spend another $1,000, another $1,000. To have somebody consistently, and it might take you 6 months. This is why agents don't do it. To have somebody come to you off the cuff, you haven't chased them, they've already pre-qualified themselves, but it took you 6 months to get to a point where somebody was able to go and find you and decide that you are now the best agent for them, is the complete nirvana of what business should be. To have enough inbound inquiries to kind of serve your pipeline for the entire year or for the entire quarter, whatever it might be, is insane. And to now have that platform where you do the organic strategy, and now the same platform is saying, well, if you're willing to bid on this exact same platform, you're already showing us that you're the best. We're going to recommend you number one. Yeah. And you're going to get the same level of lead. I just think it's like, it is probably for agents in particular, but also for like e-commerce stores and like local businesses, this could be potentially, like I said, the opportunity of a decade.
It's I mean, even us, even Fly Dragon, it happens more free. It's a weekly thing now where somebody books a call to connect with Fly Dragon. I look up the agent, we get in the call. If I don't know them because it wasn't a referral from another agent we work with or whatever the case might be, the first thing I ask is, how did you find us? And more frequently, the agent is saying, I ask ChatGPT who's the best at AI SEO, or I ask Google, and FlyDragon is in the AI overview. FlyDragon is in Gemini. FlyDragon is the answer in ChatGPT. Like Chris Nevada, as an example, in Las Vegas, he reaches out. We get in a call a few weeks back and asked him this question. Well, actually, I didn't even have the opportunity to ask the question. As soon as we hopped on, he said, listen, I've watched all your podcasts, which is great. We have at least one person watching Show Me the Source. Watched all your podcasts, watched your YouTube videos, checked out the website, asked ChatGPT, let's go. Like, that is a great environment for me, who handles all the sales calls. I don't have to sell hard. He's already done his homework. This is true for any industry, right? Real estate included, real estate agents included. That's exactly the type of person you want to work with. They're ready to move. They don't need to be sold. And so we're incredibly bullish on ads and ChatGPT. The organic stuff matters. We're going to keep doing the things that we're doing, just like organic, traditional SEO search, like that matters, that works. But layering on ads on top of that, game over for the agents who are quick to adopt this strategy.
Yeah. And I think what would be really interesting to, obviously the ChatGPT ads, that I think the timeline is they're looking to quote unquote officially launch this to a group of advertisers in the next few weeks. So February is coming up around the corner. They're going to launch it then. We know they're going to go out to free users only in the US. Perfect for the opportunity for, our agents. We've got some in Canada, but US are going to get it first. The things that I want agents to, if you're listening to this and you're like, actually, this might crush for my business. I have tried PPC. Like you said, the conversion rates probably suck. Meta, the costs have gone through the roof for a lead that probably isn't going to be ready to buy right now or ready to sell right now. To prepare, to even look to use the platform, the things what we would like them to do between now and potentially, let's just call it 3 months time, ready for your spring and summer market. What would they do? What do you recommend we start doing as like point number one? This is where you should start.
Yeah, I think it's the stuff that we already talk about. So if their organic results matter for how their ads get served, assuming it's not strictly based on bidding, based on who's throwing more money at the problem or the opportunity, would be number one. You've got, and this is the thing that and I get it, real estate agents are busy, and they also don't know the implications of not doing these things, but the directories are so mission critical. When I ask ChatGPT, doesn't matter what town or city I'm asking, who's the best agent here, you get the list of names. If you look at the sources, you're going to see overlapping directories. You're always going to see Zillow. You're always going to see Fast Expert. Now, since 5.2 was released, you see Yelp quite a bit. Rate My Agent is sprinkled in there. Realtor.com is always in there. So these are the directories where you have to claim your Rate My Agent profile. You have to claim Fast Expert. And most agents are not aware. I mean, we talk about it every day, Ryan, so I just think everybody's aware. Yeah. I was coaching a brokerage here in Massachusetts a couple of weeks ago, a Century 21 team. And we had 4 different groups kind of round robining all day. And every single group, I don't think there was one agent who was aware of Fast Expert. And there were 60 plus agents on this team. Not a single one was aware. So I took the time to go through, like, here's why it matters. Here's how you set it up. And for those watching who don't have it set up, go claim your profile on Fast Expert and Rate My Agent. And it syncs with your Zillow profile. So that's another reason to make sure your Zillow profile is up to date. Your production, like your sales history, will sync over to Fast Expert and Rate My Agent, as will your reviews, without ever having to ask a client for a second or subsequent review. If you get it on Zillow, automatically on Fast Expert and Rate My Agent. So that's, I would say, Ryan, the place where they're going to start is getting the house in order. Are they on these directories? Is the information accurate? Is the same address, same phone number, linked to their, and that's another thing I notice as well, all the time. The link on Zillow for their website is not their website. It's actually maybe it's some other, I've seen Facebook pages there. I've seen, maybe an agent page on the brokerage's website. If you have a website, that's where you need to put your URL, right? You need that backlink. You want that backlink from a reputable source. There's more I could throw. I got more opinions, Ryan, but I think that's probably the logical starting point. Is that's the low hanging fruit. You should already be there. The information should already be accurate. So now just get it done.
100%. I think that's going to be the quickest route to when this comes out and rolls out, to have a consistent, visible brand. We speak about this all the time. You change brokerages, you change teams, you change maybe the name of your team, or what you want to. Yeah, you rebranded it. You maybe change address, change phone number, whatever. Right? If somebody is going to bid on an ad in ChatGPT for the best realtor to work with in their area, it is 100% unlikely that they will serve somebody who cannot give them accurate contact information, because as of right now, and I suspect once it launches, you do not have the opportunity to control the ads. So you can't control what it looks like. You cannot control the information it pulls through. It will be purely based on what they know about you, and the brand.
I'm really eager to because I've been wondering that myself. Can you bid on certain? Can I bid on, somebody asking about living in Upton or moving to or the best neighborhoods in, or is it more like a local service ad where like, here's my budget. You already know everything about me because everything's public, so you can already find this information, and then you go decide where to serve those ads. Do you think that's the route it's going to go?
I think so. I really do think so. I think, we see the map pack in ChatGPT now. We can see it's pulling through from Google. So we get an idea of what it's trying to do. And if we look to Google as the kind of pioneer of all of this, when it introduced local service ads in the map pack, when it introduced or tried to hide sponsored results in the organic results, and it tried to maybe add ads midway down the results. Like, Google will test all of these things, and other platforms are only going to steal how it worked for them. So I think maps are going to be one for sure. They'll be able to kind of control who's in positions 1 to 3, and I think it will look native. I don't think it's going to be easy to spot. And I then believe that they're going to have maybe they say they won't. I believe in the citations they will have like sponsored. So when somebody's reference, rather than it being really blatantly obvious that this is a kind of ad result, I think it will just be like, oh, here are the citations for all of your, things that you've searched. By the way, this is a sponsored ad.
Yeah. We're going to need to get a
that
free
will be interesting.
Account. We're going to need to get a free account to watch these ads. Yeah. Because
that's going to be interesting.
Based on what you're describing, what you think will happen, then I don't know if I see a path to homes being advertised. You know what I mean?
As in, like, direct listings? Yeah.
So if somebody's saying, hey, I don't know, considering moving to Deerfield Beach, Florida, tell me about Deerfield Beach. And so you're getting the usual answer of, here's the things to do, top restaurants, best neighborhoods, and boom, here are a couple of homes for sale in Deerfield Beach. That would be interesting if, that's depending on the sales cycle, how quickly homes are selling, you'd have to vary those ads, turn them off if that home's already off the market. But that would be interesting if that were possible. But if the agent, the advertiser, doesn't have control over those mechanisms, and really you're just advertising the business, the product in real estate isn't something that can be advertised. It's not Suavecito where the product always stays the same. The homes are turning over.
Suavecito is
shout out to Suavecito.
The best name.
Appreciate it.
Sponsor the podcast for Tim's Quaff. I think Google tried that recently, didn't they? They tried the homes.com integration, I think it was, where you could actually sponsor an ad for the listing. And if ChatGPT is able to do that, and it doesn't just default to Zillow or Realtor.com, and somebody who has like an IDX feed on their website and has done proper SEO can pull that listing through, I think that becomes really interesting for sure. Because then I don't know how it might work, but like,
well,
like you said, if it goes off market real quick.
Yeah. Well, the way it's done on Facebook, right, is number one, it's interruptive marketing where I'm just scrolling and then there's a homes for sale sort of ad, right? If I click on that, it's bringing me to the IDX feed. So there's nothing that the advertiser needs to change. Homes will come on and off the feed, but but they're not going to convert. Very, very low percentage with somebody would click on one of those homes and then reach out to the listing agent to get that, to buy the home. So that's just a way to grab emails, but that's one way it could work. But I don't see how today, based on the information we have, that's the direction we could go with advertising on AI anyway.
The latest announcement that came out today, which is interesting, is that as of when the rollout happens, the costs will be impression based. So they won't be click based, which is probably not the ideal scenario for advertisers where they don't really get a sense of who's clicking out. But the same thing is true for organic. We don't really get a sense of who's clicking out to our websites. The only thing we could pay attention to is like referral sources to get an idea of what the spend's doing. But because of that, categorically, hands down, the spend is going to be cheaper. So it's interesting because it's basically saying every metric points toward being like brand awareness. Everything is brand. Everything is how often do we see your brand? Do we send people to your brand, or are they just going to interact with your brand natively within ChatGPT? Like, things to consider.
Yeah. This morning's announcement, did they talk about cost at all? We have any idea what a cost per lead? Can you even call it a cost per lead? Because it's an impression. It's not, somebody's not registering, right? So I think the data to be able to track this is going to be incredibly thin.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly thin unless you have analytics on your website to kind of say like, here's what happened before I was spending money on ChatGPT ads, and now the difference in referral traffic is 150%. Like, super clear correlation for sure. No indication of spend yet. The commitment they're asking for from advertisers is sub 1 million to kind of throw the money in and see what happens. So who knows? I mean, sub 1 million, 800 million users, it's probably going to be cheap pennies.
When you say sub 1 million, you mean for all of the advertisers that they're welcoming into the beta program, or each advertiser needs to spend 7 figures?
Each advertiser, yeah.
Damn. That's a gamble.
That is a gamble. It will be the big, massive Zillows and whatever else, right, to spend it. Probably people they have partnerships with. But yeah, I think that's, if they don't change that kind of impression based into a click based program, then we kind of get an idea of what the intention would be, which is to keep it within ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, interesting times.
Yeah, really is. It really, really is. And if you wanted to do a deeper dive on this, we did a full kind of breakdown in a blog post of like where we see this going, what we think agents need to do right now, kind of expanded on what Tim said earlier, and more of our predictions. We've got I'll drop the link in the YouTube description below.
Is this that photo with me and Sam Altman?
It is a photo of you and Sam Altman, which is totally real, not AI generated at all.
Not AI. No, not at all. Completely authentic, legitimate.
Yeah. We only do authentic and legitimate as an AI company.
Yes.
But that's, I think, ponder on that, sirs and ladies, because there's a huge opportunity coming your way. I think if you're one of the early adopters, you will build a moat for your business that will be very hard to break unless some magic reason they all of a sudden make it a pay-to-play model where the person with the biggest budget wins rather than the most relevant wins. And we will keep you updated over the coming weeks and months as things start to change.
All right. That's it. It's the update for today. Next episode, we're going to get into what, Ryan? Case studies?
Yep. We've got a case study to run through, which is going to be sick.
And we'll see you on the next episode.